Huge update to Ukraine's Czech DITA artillery system, and we need to talk about it. This video exists mostly because the Associated Press did what the Associated Press always does. 1 minute you're making a clean, nerdy artillery breakdown, and the next minute some copyrighted clip turns your 13-minute banger into a 5-minute amputee. So we're redoing it with some more info I didn't have the first time. Same system, same war, more substance, more updates, and this time the only thing getting trimmed is Russian ambitions. Today we're talking about the Czech DITA self-propelled howitzer, why it fits Ukraine's battlefield better than most people realize, and what's changed since my last video. Hey friends, Wes here, multi-branch veteran, law grad, and apparently don't post video owned by the Associated Press, even under fair use, because they don't like that shit. DITA is not a headline weapon, it is a survival tool, and in a drone-saturated war where counter-battery fire works like a stopwatch, survival is the whole shebang. Quick context, Ukraine State Border Guard Service has publicly shown DITA in its inventory, described it as modern, automated, and operated by a two-person crew, with the operator entering the coordinates and the system handling calculations, loading, and aiming. They also said it would be used against Russian forces at the front. Now that detail matters because it tells you where this system sits in Ukraine's force structure. Right now, not in theory. Now DITA is not the glamorous wonder weapon crowd. It is the quiet professional. It's not the Navy SEAL, it's Delta Force. Don't worry, Navy SEALs always have a promising career in Hollywood once they retire. Prima donnas. Anyways, DITA is the quiet professional that shows up, does the math, throws steel like a sniper on wheels, and leaves before Russia can react. So what is it really? Well, DITA is a wheeled 155mm self-propelled howitzer built by Excalibur Army in the Czech Republic. It mounts a fully automated turret on a Tldr 8x8 chassis. The entire concept revolves around speed, automation, and crew protection. Excalibur's own published specs put DITA's max range at about 39 kilometers with standard NATO 155mm ammunition. It has a two-person crew and a turret that can carry 40 rounds of ammo. That's the brochure version. Here's the battlefield version. Ukraine does not need another towed gun that can shoot far if the crew dies before the second fire mission. Ukraine needs artillery that can get into position quickly, fire accurately, and get the hell out of Dodge before a Russian drone spots it and a counter-battery radar wakes up. This war punishes hesitation. DITA is built for a war where hesitation is a casualty event. Let's break down why DITA's automation matters, because this is where people miss the point. The turret is unmanned. That sounds like a technical detail. It is a survival feature. On older systems, the crew works close to the gun, loading, setting fuses, operating mechanisms, and exposing themselves during the exact period when counter-battery fire is most likely to arrive. DITA pushes that risk away from the crew. Your people sit in the armored cab, the machine does the loading and the aiming, and that does two things. It reduces the number of soldiers exposed during the most dangerous part of the mission, and it cuts the time between target received and round out. In artillery, time is not money, time is blood. When you lose time on the battlefield, you have to spend bodies to buy that time back. And then there's the mobility. DITA rides on a wheeled chassis. Wheeled, not tracked. That matters in Ukraine for three reasons. First, a wheeled system can reposition fast on pavement, and Ukraine still fights across huge areas where roads decide whether you arrive today or tomorrow. Next, logistics. Wheeled systems generally demand less maintenance burden than tracked systems, especially when you're operating in a war where spare parts are a daily scavenger hunt. Third, shoot and scoot. Russian drones and radars thrive on patterns. Park, fire, sit, die. That is the cycle. Ukraine survives by breaking that cycle. DITA's whole design philosophy supports fast displacement. Now, the DITA story is not only Ukraine got a Czech howitzer. The DITA story is Europe is quietly industrializing artillery support. The Netherlands is a big part of that. The Dutch Ministry of Defense has publicly stated, yet the Netherlands ordered 9 DITA howitzers for Ukraine, that those were delivered in the summer. Then the Netherlands ordered 6 more, bringing the total to 15. That is a procurement pipeline, and it tells you something about confidence. Countries do not double down on a platform if it's a flop. They do not buy more if it can't keep up, can't survive, or can't integrate. DITA is being shown in service with Ukraine's border guard elements, which signals broader operational adoption, not a one-off photo op. The most important analytical point about DITA is that it fits how Ukraine actually fights. Ukraine does not fight artillery like a Cold War army with a safe rear area and clean supply lines. Ukraine fights artillery like a hunted force. That means Ukraine values 4 things more than almost anything else: speed of engagement, accuracy, crew protection, and mobility. DITA checks those boxes by design, with automated loading and aiming, a 2-person crew model that reduces manpower burden, and the 2-person crew piece is bigger than it looks. Artillery is historically a manpower eater. Even if the gun survives, the unit still needs trained crews, maintenance depth, spare parts, and time to build repetition. When you cut crew size, you reduce the training footprint, and you reduce the number of people you put at risk during each mission. In a long war, that matters a lot. DITA will not win the war by itself. It will not stop Russian missile strikes. It will not magically erase Russia's artillery advantage in some sectors. What it does is it gives Ukraine another modern 155mm platform that can fire NATO standard ammunition, hit targets out to around 39 kilometers, carry a meaningful onboard ammo load, and keeps its crew alive long enough to shoot again tomorrow. That is the quiet arithmetic of survival. DITA sits in the same general category as other wheeled 155mm systems Ukraine uses, like Caesar and others, but DITA leans hard into automation and crew reduction. I want to hammer that point home. That is a design choice driven by a modern sensor battlefield. What you're looking at with DITA is the future of artillery in the next big war. If a system can complete a fire mission with fewer exposed steps, it has fewer points where a drone spotter can catch the crew doing something slow and predictable. Russia has improved its drone scouting and its counter-battery responses over time. Ukraine has responded by moving faster and spreading out. DITA fits that adaptation pattern. But why did it end up with the border guard service? Well, Ukraine's border guard has evolved. It is not only checking passports and staring suspiciously at Polish tourists, it has become a fighting component in a war where every capable formation gets pulled into the fight. When a service like that fields a modern 155mm system and publicly emphasizes automation and precision workflow, it signals that Ukraine is pushing high-end firepower into more parts of the force, not keeping it locked inside one elite artillery branch. In my opinion, that increases redundancy. It also increases Russia's problem set because Russia cannot focus only on the artillery brigades. More units can generate serious fires. So how does DITA actually fight in Ukraine? Well, it fights as part of a kill chain. A drone or scout team finds a target, coordinates get passed, DITA receives a mission, the crew inputs target coordinates, the system calculates firing parameters, loads automatically, aims automatically, and fires, then it moves. And that last part is the whole point, because the second you fire, you start a timer. Russian counter-battery radar can detect trajectories, drone teams can hunt muzzle flashes, and vehicle movement. Russian return fire is not always accurate, but it often doesn't need to be. It just needs to force displacement and disrupt the rhythm. DITA is built to keep the rhythm. Now, Czech support is not only donations. Czech support has become a pattern, practical, industrial, repeatable. And when you add the Dutch procurement layer, you get a European model that looks like this. Ukraine identifies the need, European states fund purchases, European industry produces, Ukraine fields and adapts. Then the buyer state orders more once the system proves it can survive and contribute. Okay, let's wrap this up. The war has turned artillery into a contest of who can stay alive long enough to keep shooting. Range matters, yeah. Rate of fire matters, sure. But survivability decides whether those specs matter for more than a day. DITA's 2-person automated approach is built for a battlefield where drones watch everything and Russian counter-battery fire punishes anyone who lingers. And the fact that the Netherlands expanded its order to 15 after deliveries already happened tells you this is not a science project. This is a weapon that is so good, the Dutch want to play with it. If you want the short version, here it is. DITA helps Ukraine shoot fast, shoot accurately, and live long enough to do it again. Russia hates that, and I love that for them. Thanks for watching, friends. If you hate copyright law as much as I do, drop me a comment to keep the algorithm happy. I do read a lot of the comments, but I have trouble responding to all of them. Anyways, subscribing is the best free way to support this channel and helps me push back on Russian disinformation by keeping Ukraine's fight top of mind in your feed. And as always, glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. Crimea is Ukraine.